Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 164, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. Today is Friday, June 5th. Yes, we are in the month of June now. I don't know where the whole beginning of the year went, but it's June now. So that's okay. It's a good thing. I like summer, so I wish the weather was acting a little more summery, because as of we got to June 1st and suddenly it got cold and rainy and everything. May had been really nice. So what are you going to do? Anyway, it's been almost 2 weeks since I've recorded. I actually sat down this past Sunday and recorded an entire episode of 164. Only by the end, I realized I had said things like, okay, I don't have this to show you right now, or this isn't ready to show you, or I said that kind of thing I don't know how many times. And finally, by the time I was done, I thought, this is silly. This is a video podcast. The whole point of a video podcast is the visual aspect. So if I don't have things to show you, you're basically listening to me just talk. And that's sort of boring. So I decided to not even process that episode and just wait until later this week, which obviously is today, and record again when I actually do have things I can show you. So let's get started. First of all, let me say hello to some people who introduced themselves in the welcome thread on the 90% Knitting board. We had Podum, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, from Norway, Dagmar from New Mexico, and Shelley from the UK. So welcome to all three of you. Thank you so much for introducing yourselves. If you are new to the podcast and are not aware, we do have a group on Ravelry, the 90% Knitting group, and you can find a welcome thread in there. Feel free to introduce yourself if you'd like to. If you've been watching the podcast forever and you're not new and you still haven't introduced yourself and would like to, it's never too late to do so. There is also a separate group for my yarn business, Fiber Nymph Dye Works. So there's a Ravelry group for that and for the podcast. I try to keep the two separate. Things that are specifically shop oriented, I put in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group. Things that are more oriented towards the podcast, like what I'm knitting, knit-alongs, anything like that, that will go in the 90% Knitting group on Ravelry. So, but it never hurts to check both of them because they each have their place. And I'm sorry if I play with my hair a lot. I'm getting my hair cut tomorrow. It grew so quickly. I mean, I go about every 6 weeks, and this past 6 weeks, I feel like it really grew fast. It's making me a little nuts. So, okay, let's get started because I have a lot to tell you about today. I'm going to just warn you now. You may want to pause, go to the bathroom, okay? Grab a drink on your way back, perhaps a snack, because this is going to be a long one. I'm just giving you fair warning. Okay, first of all, I have a finished object. I believe I had started this the last time I recorded. I don't remember now. I think I did. It was my instant gratification hat. I did. I had it started already. That I made out of Malabrigo Rios, which is my favorite Malabrigo that they make. My favorite base from them. Let's see. What did I knit this. This is basically, I wanted to do the sock head hat, but I didn't want to do it in fingering, so I did it in the worsted weight, the Rios. So I basically looked at some other projects that people had done that same sock head-ish like hat on worsted weight and followed stitch counts that I had seen from them. I think I cast on 88 stitches. So this is it. It's done. I did the ribbing. There's probably about, I forget, at least 7 inches. I would say there's about 7 inches of ribbing. And then, no, there can't be 7 inches of ribbing, Lisa. I don't know. I think it's all on my project page, though, if you want to know for sure. There's about 6, just under 6 inches of ribbing. And then the top of the hat, I went about, that's the one I did, 7 inches of stockinette before I started doing the crown decreases. So it's not as long as it would be if it was an actual sock head hat, but I'm going to wear it with the brim turned up. Here, I'll just show you. I'll mess up my hair for you. It'll be nice and warm with that brim doubled like that. So anyway, and it's sufficiently slouchy, even at just 7 inches. I don't think I would really need it much slouchier than that, but I love it. This is the Candombe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Candombe colorway that I absolutely adore because it reminds me of stained glass. Lots of purples and gold and blue in there. So anyway, like I said, it was just sort of, I wanted something different to knit because I was knitting so many things on fingering weight yarn and small needles. I needed something with larger yarn and larger needles, and this fit the bill nicely. So that is my finished object this week. What else did I work on? I worked on the second Cookie Monster sock. You saw the first one already. This is the first one that's finished, and this is in another Crafty Girls Strong Sock base in the Cookie Monster colorway. And I'm just doing a 2x1 rib sock. So that's what the cuff is, 2x1 rib, and the instep is 2x1 rib, and then obviously the sole is just stockinette. And I did an afterthought heel. And I love how it turned out. Where is the other one? I think maybe I had the other one just cast on last time you saw it, but since then I have gotten through the rest of, I've done the whole cuff, I've got my waist yarn in for the afterthought heel, and now I'm working down the foot. And just like in the other one, I loved the spiraling that it was doing, and once I put the afterthought heel yarn in, and this half is being knit stockinette, it kind of messes with that spiraling pattern, so the colored bit that had been spiraling stayed more on the bottom of the sock for longer before it's finally starting to come around to this side again. So, but it's fine. I love this colorway. It's just really pretty and light and happy. So like I said, I have my hair appointment tomorrow, and I had a dentist appointment yesterday, so I've been carrying this around with me, but this will be probably what I'm going to knit on tomorrow while I'm at my hair appointment, and hopefully I can get pretty close to being done with that. Hopefully it'll be finished by the next time I record, so you'll be able to see the whole finished set. And I'll have a whole nother set of socks in my drawer since I've been purging all the ones with holes. So that's one thing, and that I'm just doing that on my usual US 1.5 needle that I tend to use for socks. Let's see, what else? Oh, okay, my design socks that I've been working on. This, I honestly can't remember. I think, okay, yes, I had finished this one. This was out of the semi-sewed, and this is the Whimsy sock that I'm designing, which is a seed stitch and cable motif on the cuff and on the instep. If you remember, I'm knitting this out of my Sport Weight, my Traveler Sport Weight base, and this is the magenta semi-solid colorway. I had previously knit the first version of it out of the 6 More Weeks colorway, which was one of my club colorways last spring. I did that first sock, and then I went on to this one, and the first one didn't have the cable twists in it. Okay, but I had also done the heel differently on the first one, and I didn't really like it. So when I did this one and I did the heel differently, I liked this heel. So what I did, and I think I showed you this last time, I ripped this sock back all the way up to before the heel. And I have now since obviously reknit it, doing the heel more in line with how I did it on the cabled one. So this is still the Whimsy pattern. This is just without the cable twists. So I'm calling the pattern itself will have both versions, instructions for both versions, Whimsy and a little less Whimsy. It'll both be in there. They'll be written for Sport Weight originally. Eventually I would like to add a fingering weight version, but that's going to take a little bit more time. I would like to at least be able to get the pattern published for the Sport Weight version first. So if you're somebody, I think I said this last time too, if you're someone who has volunteered to test knit these socks for me, thank you. I've got your name. I have a list. This is my downfall with designing. I love designing, and I can knit things up fairly quickly, like new designs, and I can get them jotted down in an intelligible note form. It's the whole getting it written up and sent out to the test knitters. That is where I'm slow. I don't know why. I think it's just because designing isn't what I do mainly. It's like a sideline of everything else I do in my business. And as much as I enjoy it, I just don't have as much time to commit to it as I would like to. So that's why it takes me a while to get things out to test knitters sometimes. And then once I get them back from test knitters, it's why it takes me a little while to get the pattern all cleaned up and published. So just hang in there. I appreciate that you guys are enthusiastic about the patterns that I have coming out, the designs that I'm working on. I just beg your patience, please. I promise they will come out eventually. And hopefully they'll be worth the wait. Anyway, I'm not going to knit the second sock of either one of those right now. At this point, I'm planning to have these to be able to take to shows, have them as samples, you know, one for each version of the sock. Like I said, probably if I knit this again at this point, next it will be on fingering weight. So I'll be working on that at some point. But I have another design. I know. I have another design that I want to work on first. So let's see. What else? I've worked on my verdure shawl. Let me show you that. I'm still plugging away on the stockinette section. I'm getting closer though. So I know you probably can't really see too much of it. It's really scrunched up on the needles at this point. But I need to get up to, I think, 230 some stitches on the needle before I set up to do the applied edging. And I believe as of this morning, I'm at 206 stitches. So I've probably got approximately another 30 stitches to add. Each set, like knit row, you know, right side row, wrong side row, each set of those rows adds 6 stitches. So I have, and I've been trying to do 2 sets of those. So I've been trying to do at least 12 stitch increases a day. So let's do the math, people. I have less than 3 days to go, I guess, right? No, 12 and 12 is 24, plus another 12 would be 36. So yeah, less than 3 days. So if I keep at it, by next week I should be on the applied edging when you see it. I'm enjoying it. Like I said, the increases on the edges are a little different than what I'm used to, so that keeps it interesting, even though it's just stockinette right now. And I am knitting it out of my bedazzled base in the Thorin colorway. So I know it's not a whole lot to see quite yet, but I'm enjoying it, and I've been working on it regularly, consistently, if not a lot. Okay, so that's had some work done on it. I do have another project that I'm going to just sort of briefly show you. I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about it because this is the other design project that I just mentioned a couple minutes ago. And it's in my whale bag. I love my whale bag. This was by Busy Minds Designs. She's not making bags anymore, unfortunately. This was an Amy Beth bag, Fat Squirrel Speaks bag. I got that at SSK last year. Anyway, I will show you what I have on the needles so far. This is what's on the needles so far. Exciting, isn't it? It is. I like the stripes. This is my Bonafide base in the Sea Monsters Need Love 2 colorway. Need Love also, not 2 as in T-O-O. And the yarn, so there will be that colorway in this project, and my lime green semi-solid. So that's all I'm going to tell you about this right now. Hopefully by next week, I would like to say that this one will be done. I'm going to do a few different prototypes of this before I call it good, and maybe have other people test knit it. It's not going to be a significantly difficult project, I don't think, but it's one that I have been thinking about since November. Actually, it's been on my mind since then, and I finally just needed to knit it. And again, it was sort of because I'm doing these fingering weight projects. I wanted something with heavier weight yarn and bigger needles to work on, so I decided to go with this because this is a DK weight that I'm doing this in. So I'll tell you more about that as it progresses. All right. That's everything that I've been knitting on this week. I have one project that I'm gearing up to knit, so I guess that would be knitting adjacent. I've talked about this before. If you remember, last year for Christmas, I made my son Christopher an afghan, that mitered square afghan. Well, this year I want to make an afghan for Emma. Hers, I decided, I knew right off what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a chevron afghan, but instead of having one big wide, you can't see my arms out here, but instead of having one big wide chevron afghan, I want to do it in strips. I want to do 4 chevron strips that I will then seam together. And I'm going to do it in 4 different colors so that each strip, the colors are not in order, but they shift. I don't know if I'm describing this very well for you to be able to visualize. But here are the colors that I'm planning to use. And I'm going to make it out of my cozy base. So these are the colors that I will be using. This is my peacock blue, lime green, magenta, and this is actually a color you have not seen before, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. This is actually dyed up on my traveler base, but I just wanted to show you the color, but I'll talk about this one a little bit more later. But these are the 4 colors that I'm going to use in the afghan. These are really her colors. Her bedspread actually has all of these colors in it. So I thought it would be fun to have an afghan that sort of coordinated with that. So I'm in the process right now of looking for a chevron afghan pattern that I can modify to do what I want to do with it. That's turning out to be a little more difficult than I would have thought. So this may actually take a little bit of playing. I may have to just, it may end up being a design by the time I'm done with it, to figure out how to do it so that when I seam it, it looks nice and doesn't just look wonky. So stay tuned for that. But that is on deck. That I'm going to be starting at least the preliminary trying to work it out, how to make it work thing. That is going to be starting soon. So. And I'll probably just do that with scrap yarn just to, you know, play with it and figure out how I want to really, really do it. That would be the bright way to do it, as opposed to diving in with the good yarn and then having to rip out and dive, you know, knit, rip until I get it right. So, alrighty, that is all the knitting. As I said, I'm still getting my designs ready to publish and to test. The Rambler, all it needs is the pretty pictures. And I think, I don't know if, since I recorded Sunday, I can't remember what I've actually told you and what I only told you in that episode that you never saw. My plan had been, while Emma was home, to take all the pretty pictures. Have her model it. I would take pictures. That never happened because she was a busy, busy girl while she was home, and we just never had time for that. And when I did have time with her, that really wasn't on the top of my list of things to do, unfortunately. So, her friend Heather, who does yarny stuff for me a couple days a week, is going to be my helper. And on Tuesday when she's here, we're going to take pretty pictures of the cowl. She has agreed to help with that. So hopefully by next week, after I've podcasted, or by the time I podcast next week, the Rambler cowl will have been published. That is my sincere hope. As far as the whimsy sock pattern, like I said, I'm still getting all of my notes written up. Since there's 2 different versions, I'm trying to write it up in a way that will make sense and be easy to follow depending on which version you want to do. So it's a little bit slow going right now, but it's coming. So hang on there, test knitters, just hang in. You can do this. I can do this. You can hang on and wait, please. Thank you. I don't know. I get so worked up about that because I hate making people wait. And I'm sure these test knitters are not just sitting there twiddling their thumbs with nothing else to do. There's lots of yarn in the world and lots of patterns, and I'm sure they're busy people. So, anyway, what else? Oh, speaking of designs, this is not one of mine. This is somebody who actually manages to get designs finished and published. Sarah Jordan, who is actually a Pittsburgh area knitter and designer, she has published a new pattern called the Diamond Divide Socks, for which she has, for which I provided yarn for her, yarn support for her design, and she knit her socks up in my Good and Plenty colorway. So there's a picture of the socks. Very cool motif on there. And that is the Good and Plenty colorway, obviously. And it is called the Diamond Divide Socks by Sarah Jordan. It says, an unusual construction is the perfect complement to self-striping sock yarn in this pattern. So, thank you, Sarah, for designing with my yarn. She actually designed another, a pair of mitts out of a semi-solid. I remember what it was. It was my earthenware red semi-solid, and the name of the pattern is escaping me. Let me look it up really quick. I know I told you about it at the time, but I just want to tell you about it again real quickly here. Here they are. The Vonder mitts, V-A-U-N-D-E-R. So those were another, that was another pattern she designed using my yarn. It's always really exciting when I have people decide to use my yarn to design with. It's funny, sometimes I don't know people are designing with my yarn. Like they've bought my yarn and then they end up doing a design, and I don't find out about it until after the fact. And a lot of times it's somebody else, not the designer, who lets me know. So if you're a designer and you're using my yarn, I would love to know. You know, it's a fun thing for me to know. So let me know, because that way I can promote your pattern too on the podcast if I know about it. At any rate, Sarah was kind enough to offer up a copy of her new pattern to you guys. So I am going to open up a thread if you would like a chance to win this pattern from Sarah. I will open that up once I'm done recording, and I will do the drawing on the next podcast. So if you're interested in winning this pattern, please enter that drawing. So thank you, Sarah. Alrighty, let's see what else. I don't have any spinning. It just hasn't been time. There haven't been any new things coming in, really. Not for me specifically. I did have something come in for the cowl, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Actually, we're going to talk about the cowl right now, because I have a lot of stuff to tell you about for this cowl. It started June 1st. I love how excited you guys are about this. There's been so much chatter going on in the main knit along thread. Last I checked, nobody had posted any finished objects yet. That may have changed. Let me look. Oh, there is one post in there. Who is it? Podum. She has finished 2 items already, so she's got 6 points. So everybody got to get going. This is so much fun. I'm giddy. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, see, this is what I wanted to talk about. Was I did, well, the last time I talked about how you need to put your posts up for your entries. And I put in the no chatter thread, the first post talks about what needs to be in it. Okay, what needs to be in the post. The second post is an example post from me. So it's an example finished entry post, finished object entry post. I just included a couple of projects that would fit in here. The dates I completely made up just so that they would fit, because you do need to have your start and finish dates in there as your part of your information. But that gives you an example of how to post your entries. Just remember, you're creating one post, and with every finished object that you finish for June, you're going to go back into that same post and add your new entry below the first one, okay, with the same information, picture, and all of the necessary required information, which is outlined in the thread. And then at the very bottom of your post, you will always move your total points earned to the very bottom of your post and update that with the number of points that you have at that point. So it's not difficult. I know everybody's going to catch on super easily. It just seems cumbersome when I talk about it, because I've never done a knit along like this where it's as involved. Usually it's like you finish an object, you throw it up in a post, and then as many objects as you have, that's how many posts you do. But we can't do it that way this time for my sanity, since the points are involved. And it'll be so much easier for me to deal with if everybody's points for all their projects are all in one place. So anyway, the guidelines are up. The other thing that I did modify since I talked to you about this last time is how I'm going to be drawing for the winners, because I talked a lot last time about, you know, my thoughts on how I might do this and print out the names and have a hat and blah, blah, blah. And I got a lot of feedback on that from people. A lot of private messages came my way saying, you know what, there's easier ways to do this. You're making more work for yourself. There was also a lot of discussion on random and what the true nature of random is. Random is random. It doesn't really matter what order things are in. You know, like if you have 10 points and all of them are in one row, you know, true random would mean you have just as much of a chance of one of your things being picked as the winner as you would if they're all spread out. I understand that, but there's the true nature of random, but then there's the perception of random. It's kind of like if somebody offers to sell you, you know, do you ever have raffle tickets? I know around here that a lot of people do raffle tickets for fundraisers and things. And if you decide to buy 5 raffle tickets, there's some people who would just say, sure, give me 5 raffle tickets, and they'll take the next 5 in line. They don't care. Whereas there's other people who will choose 5 raffle tickets all throughout the pile of raffle tickets you have. It's that perception that you have a better chance of having your number picked if they're spread out rather than if they're all clumped together. I think it's also the same as if somebody has the idea that if they're the first person in a thread, that it's so much less likely for them to get drawn as the winner than if they're later on in a thread for drawings and things, which isn't true because I actually had the first person in the thread be drawn as the winner before. So anyway, it's about perception. But here's what I'm going to do, and I think this will be most workable for me, and it will be fair for everyone. Once the month is over and I go through everybody's posts, so for example, Podem was the first person who posted. She currently has 6 points. If today was the last, you know, if the thing was over today and that was all she had was 6 points, what I would end up doing would be putting her name in my database. I'm going to create the database. I'm going to put her name in 6 times because she has 6 points. Next to this first, I think she earned 3 points for each project, if I'm correct. Oh no. She earned 4 for the first and 2 for the second. So what I would end up doing is putting her name 4 times, the name of that first project 4 times, and her finish date 4 times. Okay, the date she finished that first project. Then for the second project, her name would be there 2 times. The name of the project would be there 2 times, and her finish date for the second project would be there 2 times because she earned 2 points. Are you following me so far? All right, so I'm going to do that for everybody. Everybody who enters, that is how I'm going to be putting your information into my database. Your name, the project name, and the corresponding end date for how many points you earned for that project. If you earned 4 points, all that info would be in there 4 times. If you only earned 1 point, all that information would only be in there once. But all of your things are going to be lined up, okay, to begin with. Once I have everything in the database, I'm then going to use the function that allows me to order the whole list in the database by date. Okay, so no longer will all of your items be in one big clump. They will be ordered by the date that you finished them. So in that way, it will mimic more of a traditional way that we usually post things in the CAL, the finished object threads, because usually as you finish them, you're putting them up, and that's the order of your posts ordinarily. Sometimes people don't. Sometimes they wait till the end of the, you know, towards the end and post everything at one time sequentially. My idea is I'd just like to get this as close to what it would normally be, but still maintaining the point values, because that's what this was all about. I know I've made this way more difficult than it probably needed to be. It seemed like a good idea at the time to assign point values and let you earn more points and more chances to be entered for your projects. And it's fine. I may never ever do it this way again, depending on how much sanity I lose in the process, but I think it'll be okay. And I think I'll be able to do this on my own. I've had people offer to help me with this stuff and with verifying and everything. And the whole verification thing is still going to be there. Like if you're drawn at the end and I check your project, and really I'll be checking it based on the information that you post in your thread, or in your finished object post. That is what I'm going to be using to verify. So please make that accurate. I'm not going to go back to your original post, your project page. Probably not anyway. I might, if something's not clear, I might, but I'd really like to be able to do everything from the finished object post. That would be optimal. So I hope that's clear. I hope I have not muddled that up even further. But again, if you have questions about it or need more explanation, please feel free to post in the general knit along thread or PM me, and I will be happy to answer questions. But as of now, since the thing has started, that is how I am planning to do this, and I think it will be most fair that way. Not most fair, like fairer than other ways, but I think it will be quite fair being done that way. Okay, let's talk about prizes, because that's more fun than all of this crazy stuff that I never seem to be able to say very succinctly. I told you last time that one of the prizes will be a skein of my Dragonfly colorway on Bedazzled, which I did not bring over here. It's over on my bookcase, but you saw it last time. So that's one prize. Nuala, who is Nuala Bula on Ravelry and has her own dyeing company, Dharma Dye Works. She has mailed to me her prize that she's offering up. This was such a fun package to get, and I thanked her. She sent me a couple little goodies too, some of which have already been eaten. So anyway, but this is the yarn. It is called Mermaid Tears, and it's a prototype colorway. So you're getting the very first one of this that she's done, which I think is awesome. Really pretty. Here, let me see if I can move my light a little bit to give you, I don't know if that's actually going to help or not. Pretty blues, some greens, almost some purples. Very muted, though. It's just gorgeous. So that is a skein of 100%, here I need to move that light again, 100% superwash merino fingering weight. And again, the colorway is Mermaid Tears, 437 yards. So that is one prize. And one of the other things that she included in this package, she didn't specify it was for the drawing, but I'm going to give it as part of the drawing, is this Magic Fix tool, which is a set of 3 crochet hooks of different sizes, and it's basically really good for picking up stitches if you've dropped stitches. I have several things like this, which is why I'm not going to keep it for myself. I'm going to pass it on in the drawing. So this together will be one prize. She also sent me this candy bar. Oh my gosh. Community Powered Chocolate Chili Chai. And it's made in Ireland. She's from Ireland. And it's somehow tied to, it's West Africa and West Cork. I guess some of the, I don't know. Some component of it comes from West Africa. It's made in West Cork, Ireland. And I'll just say it's really good. Most of it is gone. I've been trying to ration it. It's out in my fridge. And I just eat little bits of it here and there. Yummy. Really yummy. And she also sent me a tea bag, which I keep seeing this puka tea on other podcasts, and I've never had any, and now I have one. So I have not used it yet, but I can't wait to try it. It's Puka Love, a heartwarming touch of organic rose, chamomile, and lavender. So those are things I'm keeping for me. Sorry. But that's okay. Oh, and she sent me a magazine also. She said she wasn't sure if we got this here in the United States, and so I guess it was an extra copy she had of Simply Knitting, which is very cool because I don't buy knitting magazines very often anymore. Matter of fact, I just purged a bunch of really old ones the other day. But I can't wait to go through this. I haven't, oh my gosh, check it out. There's a raccoon. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. I wish I liked knitting stuffed things more. I may have to knit him anyway, just because he's so darned cute. I wonder if there's other stuffed animals in here. Oh my goodness, the detail is amazing. I'm sorry, I'm totally getting off topic here, but yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at the magazine yet, but I'm looking forward to that. So that's a second prize. We've since had a third prize donated, and that is by Melinda Vermeer. She is a designer, and she has donated $10 worth of her patterns, not only for June, but for every month of the knit-along. So that was so amazingly generous. Thank you so much, Melinda. Melinda is also offering a discount through the month of June off 20% off her select patterns, basically any patterns of hers that start with A through F. If you have not been looking at the thread for the, let me get to it so I don't misquote it. We've got 3 different threads going on for the knit-along. There's the general alphabet knit-along June through September thread. That's the general chatter thread. Then there's the no chatter thread, which is where you're doing your finished object post. But the third thread about the cow is the alphabet cow discount offers. If you have not checked that thread out yet, please do, because we've had some very generous people offering discounts for their Etsy shops or for pattern shops, their pattern shops on Ravelry. I believe last week I mentioned the ones from Yoo-Hoo Knits and Sheila O'Keefe. I also know that Melissa from Meltran Designs, she hasn't posted in this thread, but she did post in the main knit-along thread some of her patterns that are being offered at a discount. The ones that have come up since the last time I recorded are Melinda. Her designs are Melinda Vermeer Designs, and any of her ones that begin with A through F will be 20% off with the code 90ABC, and that's now through the end of June. So check out that post if you want more details on which patterns, and there's quite a few would qualify. And then Dag, who introduced herself, who I mentioned earlier, she is also offering a coupon code for her new pattern, which is the Counting Daisies shawl. The code is Zialove, or Zialove, Z-I-A-L-O-V-E, and that will reduce the price of the pattern from $4 to $2. So it's basically 50% off, and that is for the whole month of June as well. So that would be a pattern that would qualify for this month's knit-along, since it starts with a C. So thank you, Dag, for doing that. And the last post in here is from Angela, who is Delusional Knitter. And she is offering 50% off any of her patterns that start with the letters A through F, and that would be under Delusional Knitter Designs. And that is now through June 15th. So the code for that is ABCKAL, A-B-C-K-A-L. And she has 4 different patterns that qualify there. So please check those people out. They've been kind enough to offer these discounts, and I am so thankful for that. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me think. What else did I want to say about the cow? I feel like there was maybe one more thing. Maybe not. I think that might be everything now. Again, any questions about the cow or anything, please PM me or mention it in the main knit-along thread, and we'll get everything straightened out. Just a couple of other things, general housekeeping things that I wanted to talk to you about. I'm currently in the process of transitioning my email. I've had Comcast email for a very long time, and I'm actually transitioning away from Comcast altogether. Not because I haven't been happy with their service, but because their prices are ridiculous. And they've pretty much got the monopoly on stuff around here, and that's changing. I recently got rid of Comcast TV and have DirecTV now. I'm still not 100% sure if I love it or not, because I'm still learning it, but it's way less expensive. But I'm in the process. I'm going to be moving all of my email, both personal and business email, over from my Comcast email addresses to Gmail addresses. And I've always had a Fibernymph Gmail address. I just haven't always used it. I do believe if you email me from the contact link in the shop, that does go to, I'm pretty sure that goes to my Gmail. I'll be changing all that over though for sure soon. But anyway, if you need to email me, please email me at fibernymph@gmail.com, not at a Comcast address. And I should also let you know, if you ever want to write to me about anything like test knitting related, or shop related, like if you want a special order for something, that needs to come to email. Please, please don't message me on Rev. I know some people do, and I always try to get back to them on Ravelry, but that's not the place I go first to do messages. I really rely on email for that kind of stuff. It's just easier to keep track of for me. So again, that's fibernymph@gmail.com, that would be the way to email me if you need to email me. Also, in general, how to stay abreast of everything that's going on, because I talk about this sometimes, but I feel like it's a little scattered. Like I said back at the beginning of the episode, everything having to do with the podcast itself, I try to keep in the 90% knitting group on Ravelry. If it's more specific towards Fiber Nymph Dye Works, specifically like updates, you know, the quarterly drawings, which that's coming up. June's the last month for the second quarter. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Anything related to that, club news, that kind of stuff, I put all in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group. There's also a for sale or trade thread over there. So if you've got Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn that you'd like to, you know, sell or trade to somebody else, or if you're looking for a certain colorway, there's a thread over there you can post in that. Those are good ways to stay abreast of those two separate entities. They're connected a little, but they are separate entities. In general, though, the best way to stay on top of pretty much anything that's going on, like if I've uploaded a podcast, if there's a shop update, anything special that's going on, I use the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Facebook page. Now I know that sounds counterintuitive because I just said they're two separate entities, but that's my one group. I don't want two Facebook groups, one for the podcast and one for this. I roll everything into one because the podcast really is sort of a subset of my whole entire business. It's more than just my business, obviously, because I keep all my business stuff at the very end, but it is a component of it. So anyway, if you have not liked Fiber Nymph Dye Works on Facebook, you might want to do that because that's a really good place to just keep on top of announcements that I put up throughout the week and in between podcast episodes. I'm on Instagram, but I don't use Instagram much for promoting business stuff. So if that's what you're interested in finding out, you won't see a whole lot of that on there. I do usually post like when the minis of the month are going up or, you know, special stuff, I'll post on there. But generally it's more my personal knitting and just personal life kind of things, you know. And I guess that's it. I mean, I'm on Ravelry. I mean, you can always get a hold of me on Ravelry, but I've talked about the Ravelry groups. Plurk, I'm still on Plurk. I don't get the Plurk very much because I think I've said it before. The app on my phone does not work really well. Accessing it, the web version of it on my phone doesn't always work very well. And I'm on my phone more than I'm anywhere else during the day. So that's why I don't really get to Plurk much. I try to Plurk first thing in the morning. I like to say hello. I try to go through and comment on people's things as much as I can. I'm just not on there as much as I used to be, which is a bummer because I always enjoyed Plurk a lot. So anyway, I do usually still announce when shop updates are going live, though, on Plurk. I try to still do that because I know a lot of people do rely on seeing those posts. So. Anyway, okay, I think that's everything in 90%. What do I have to tell you about 10%? My phone is ringing in the other room, but I'm going to just let it go to voicemail. Sorry. 10%. Emma is back at school. She had a very fast 10 days here at home. And she was busy for most of it. She worked 4 different days down at the bakery that she did her internship at her senior year of high school. So she had 4 days of working, and then she was trying to spend as much time as possible with her friends, which is totally understandable. Then she had about 2 or part of 3 days getting ready for her dad's wedding. Yes, my ex got remarried last weekend. And she was consigned to bake the cake, which I felt so bad for her because she kept running into problems with it. The one cake layer wasn't working right, and then her icing wasn't working right, and she was freaking out, and I felt horrible for her because there was absolutely nothing that I could do. Okay, now my other phone's ringing, which tells me this was probably my mother calling because my mom does that. If she doesn't get me on one phone, she tries the other one right away. I'll call her back, I promise. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, she did finally get it taken care of, and it was fine. It was a very small wedding from what I've heard. I didn't get invited. Go figure. But anyway, so, and then the next day after the wedding, she was headed back to North Carolina. So she is now there and working her summer job, and she just yesterday got moved into her new housing, which is also where she'll be next year. So I don't know if she'll be in the same room as she'll be in over the summer, but it's a different dorm area. So it's actually, I think, nicer because they actually have like a cooking area, kitchen in each of the suites as opposed to just one per floor like they had in her other dorm. So anyway, she's back at school. However, I've since also found out that my grandson's going to be coming up, and he'll be here, not here at my house the whole time, but he's going to be up here for about a month at least, which he usually does every summer. It's his little vacation that he gets, and he loves coming up here and getting to see all his various family. He's got lots of family up here, lots of grandparents. And I will get to have him on Fridays. He's going to like usually spend the night Thursday night into Friday. So that'll be a lot of fun. So I'm working on, arranging my schedule so that I can just have him Fridays and not have to do a whole lot of work on Fridays. It's going to be different for him this year because usually, like in the past, there's been at least one of the other kids here. Like last year, Emma was here. Before that, Chris and Emma were both here. This year, it's just Grandma. So Grandma's going to have to get creative because it's been a really long time since I've had to entertain a 10-year-old, let me tell you. It'll be fine. What else? I'm planning some house projects that I hope to get done over the summer. I have arrangements to get my house pressure washed. It's never been washed since we put the siding up, and that was a long time ago, and it's looking like it, so I cannot wait to get that done. It's not scheduled yet. I've made my deposit and everything, but I'm waiting to have them call and schedule the time. So that'll be in the next couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure I'm getting my driveway paved this summer too, which I can't tell you how excited that makes me. I've had this gravel driveway. It's always been a gravel driveway. And the winters just suck with the gravel driveway. I'm sorry. I mean, as much as I'm thankful that I have my tractor and I can plow the snow, it'll be so much easier with it paved. I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to this. So I'm working on getting estimates at this point and talking to people. So I don't know when it's going to happen, but hopefully sometime this summer. Those are the two big things right now. That, and I'm planning to do a lot of painting in my house inside. We'll see how that goes. I bought my plants this past Sunday. I went into Lowe's and I got flowers and I got my vegetables for the garden, and it started raining as soon as I got home. And I haven't had a chance to get out there and plant anything since then because the weather just has not cooperated. So hopefully this weekend they need to get in the ground. Oh, and I haven't talked about what I've been cooking lately, probably because I haven't cooked too much very exciting lately. But last night for dinner, I made barbecue bacon sushi. And this was a video I saw on Facebook, and it was really super simple, and I'll link the video in the show notes. Basically, you lay out strips of bacon, and then you mix ground beef with seasonings, whatever seasonings you want. I think I use like salt, pepper, garlic powder, and basil. Mix it up, and then you pat it flat into a flat layer on your bacon, and then you cut like a chunk of cheese, like a long square block of cheese. I used smoked Gouda, which was fabulous, and you lay that almost like so it looks like a like string cheese, like long like that. You lay that across, and then you roll it all up. Okay, so you use the bacon, and so the bacon's rolling in. You roll it up, and you grill it. And it takes a while to grill. It's grilled probably for about 25 minutes. And then you start putting barbecue sauce on it. And you're grilling it for another 10 minutes or so. Oh my gosh. It was amazing. I mean, it was really, really, really good. So I will include that link so that you can check it out, because if you like barbecue or bacon or cheese or meat, this is for you. I don't know. Anyway, okay. I'm going to pause right here because I do have shop news. There will be a shop update on Monday, so I've got everything to show you for that. Some new colorways. Very exciting. But I'm going to pause and rearrange so that I can get all the shop stuff over here and show it to you. In the meantime, if you're not sticking around for that, I will say goodbye to you now. Yeah, and I will see you next time I record. If you are sticking around for the shop stuff, just hang on a second and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Alrighty, shop news. First of all, the June minis of the month are up for pre-order. They went up on Monday, June 1st, and let me reach and get them. I forgot I didn't get to show them to you because they weren't ready last time I recorded. But these are the June minis of the month. I decided to do something bright and summery. So this one is called Party on the Coral Reef. It's a 4-striping colorway. And the semi-solid that coordinates with it is actually a lighter version of that peachy orangey stripe you can see in there. And it's called Peachy Peach. So anyway, last I checked, there were like 6 sets left for pre-order. So you might want to run over there and grab a set if you were wanting to. Let's see, June is the last month in the second quarter. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. So if you like to participate in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Finished Object quarterly drawing, you have through the end of this month to do so. And basically what that is if you knit anything using Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn, if you spin anything from Fiber Nymph Dye Works fiber, or if you spin something from the fiber and then knit something with the yarn that you spun, and it's finished, you can put that in the thread, post it for a drawing, for an entry into the drawing. The prize is always a $25 gift certificate to the shop. So, yeah. I don't know what else to say about it. There have been a lot of entries. I've been looking at them coming in, and it's funny because usually the third month is like when there's more of an influx of them. So the projects don't have to have been started in the second quarter. So, you know, April, May, June, as long as they're finished in April, May, June, that's the important part for that particular drawing. And as always, like if it's mitts or socks or something, it has to be completed, both of them, the whole pair. So anyway, and also if it's something that you made that you only use, like if you used multiple yarns and only one of them was Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn, it still counts. You can still include that as an entry. So, alrighty, let's see. Oh, another thing that isn't really fun to talk about, but I wanted to give you a heads up. The United States Postal Service has raised rates. The first class, U.S. first class shipping has not gone up. That's still the 49-cent stamp or whatever. But other rates have gone up. I've been reviewing my rates, and the last couple times rates have gone up, I haven't changed mine, except in the case of international, Canadian and international shipping, because those are the ones that always seem to go up the most. The U.S. ones are staying steady enough that I haven't needed to raise those rates, and that's holding true this time as well. Unfortunately, I have had to increase the shipping costs for Canadian and international shipping. Anything that's in the shop currently still has the old shipping amounts, just because I have to actually manually go in and change them. I've changed my default shipping so that anything new I put up will have the new shipping amounts. It's not significant, like for that first item amount. I think it's gone up less than $1 in each case, Canadian and international. But that can be a lot. I mean, I feel bad for the international customers that all of us indies have, because the shipping can really be a killer. So unless you're ordering a whole lot of yarn and are willing to pay that, you know, the shipping cost, because obviously the more you buy, the less shipping increases. You know what I mean? It's because the additional shipping cost on top of it isn't nearly as much. But if you only have one thing you want to buy and then you end up spending almost half that much again in shipping, I can understand why people don't tend to order from other countries. So it's a bummer, but nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. And I try to keep my shipping costs as low as I possibly can, and keeping them fair and keeping them covering all of my costs. That was one of the reasons why I've changed my policy on pre-orders. Like if you order a pre-order and something that's in the shop at the same time as the pre-order on the same order, I will hold that item that's already in the shop until your pre-order item is done, and I'll ship them both together, because since you put it on the same order, the shipping was calculated for 2 items shipping together, not 2 individual items shipping separately, as it would be if you purchase them in 2 separate orders. So if you need the one order or the item in the shop sooner than you're going to get your pre-order, order it separately. Put it on a separate order and then I'll ship it that way. But yeah, shipping just stinks. Shipping costs. It's crazy. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Something I wanted to address. I'm going to talk about the shop update in a minute, but something I wanted to talk about because I've been asked about this quite a few times recently, usually after updates when people have been frustrated and haven't been able to get items that they wanted, is how I have to do updates, how updates work on Big Cartel. I used to be on Etsy, and a lot of people are still on Etsy. And back on Etsy, whenever I would do a shop update, I could go in and I could do one big mass update at the same time. I could check every item that I had waiting to go up, and I could make it active all at the same time. That was like the one good thing I liked about Etsy, quite honestly. Yeah. Big Cartel's not set up that way. The only way I could activate everything all at one time and have the whole update go live at the very same time, at whatever the starting time of the update is to put the whole shop in maintenance mode prior to the update, which would mean the whole shop would go down, you know, in the 15 minutes or so prior to the update. And then I would have to go in and manually change each item to active and save that. And then at the appointed update time, I would bring it out of maintenance mode and make it the whole shop active again. I know there are people who do that, and that's a good option. My concern about doing it that way is that people are so used to having things up in preview mode, you know, right prior to the update, that I'm afraid if they would go there and want to look at what's up in preview mode and see the shop in maintenance mode, they would panic and think something was wrong. I don't want to do that because that's just not how I've done things. So what you need to know is in Big Cartel, I have to activate each individual listing one at a time. So depending on how big the shop update is, that might take me like 5 or so minutes to do. I try to do it as quickly as I can, and I usually start from the top of the page and work my way down. So if you are waiting for something to go live, you know, a skein of yarn that's on the page, if it's not up at the very top, it's probably not going to go live for a few minutes. You may need to hit refresh a few times over the course of the first 5 minutes or so before that item is live. So please don't panic. Please don't think that I've forgotten about the update or that there's something wrong. Or last time I did actually have like a slight technical difficulty with my computer that delayed me a few minutes. But then I did end up getting things done. My phone is ringing again in the other room. I left it in the other room thinking if it rang, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear it, and it's like bugging me. Anyway, yeah, so just please be patient whenever I do updates because it does take me a little bit of time to get everything activated. The thing you have to understand that is also different about Etsy is with Big Cartel, there is not cartjacking. You know, in Etsy, if you put something in your cart and then you go back to shop something to look for something else and then you go back, there's a likelihood that by the time you go check out, somebody else may have bought that item that you first put in your cart. and you can't get it anymore because it's gone because it took too long for you to check out. That doesn't happen in Big Cartel. Once you put something in your cart, I'm saying that from Etsy standpoint, the way it was when I used to be on Etsy. I don't know if they've changed things or not, to tell you the truth. But on Big Cartel, if you put something in your cart, you have it for 30 minutes. You have 30 minutes from that time. I believe it's 30. Might be 20, but I'm pretty sure it's 30. 30 minutes to check out. And that item won't leave your cart until then. It shouldn't leave your cart until then. Unless something else weird is going on. But that's how Big Cartel is set up, so that cartjacking should not be an issue. So if something at the beginning of the page goes live and then you're still waiting for something a little farther down, it's okay. You don't have to do separate transactions for each of those. You can if you want to. If that gives you a better sense of security, you're welcome to do that. But you don't have to, because as long as you get it all done within 30 minutes, those things will still be in your cart and you're good to go. So I just wanted to let you know that that's how it works, because I know it does frustrate some people. And even at that, knowing that, I'm sure there's going to be times where you might not be able to get something if a whole bunch of people are trying to get it at the same time as you. And I apologize for that. I'm always open to talking about doing special orders. Just email me. If it's something that you haven't been able to get and you've tried a few times, or you are, habitually unable to get to the updates because you work during those times. I mean, I try to vary the times of updates, but depending on my dyeing schedule, I'll either tell you, yes, I can do it as a special order. It may take 4 to 6 weeks, or no, I'm really, really busy and I can't take special orders again until whatever date. But I'm always willing to talk about doing special orders. I'm happy to do that. So just know that. Okay. Now let's talk about what's going up in Monday's shop update. Monday's shop update, that's Monday, June 8th. It will be at 3 p.m. Eastern. And it's a fairly decent size update. I was originally thinking it would be kind of a small update, but it's not going to be too bad. Let me start by talking about some semi-solids. Now I know semi-solids aren't usually the exciting thing in an update, but I got a shipment of 8 new dye colors this past week. For a dyer, getting new dye colors is like being a kid with a brand new box of crayons because it's just so much fun to play with them. Sometimes when I get new dye colors, I already have colorways in mind that I want to make with them, and I will just dive right in and I will start creating new striping colorways. Sometimes, however, I don't necessarily know what I want to do with them. I just know that I like the colors. They're different than ones I already have, and I want to play with them. And that's what happened this time. I got these 8 new colors, and I decided I was just going to test them out by dyeing some semi-solids so that I could see how they dye up on different bases and play with them a little bit. So I'm going to introduce you to these 8 new colors in my lineup that this week you're seeing on semi-solids. In future weeks, you will start seeing them incorporated into new striping or self-striping colorways. So, yay. All right. The first one is Aqua Shock. It is a very bright aqua blue. That is actually a fairly accurate representation of it on the screen. This is on Bounce and this is on Traveler. So fingering weight, sport weight. All of these I've dyed up on Bounce and Traveler, 2 each. Okay, so there will be 4 of each color in the shop, 2 on Bounce, 2 on Traveler. In some cases, they dyed up very differently on the 2 different bases. This color, not so much. So that's Aqua Shock. This one, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. The light in here is like really bright all of a sudden for me. Isn't this crazy? Oh my gosh. I'm calling this Electric Bubblegum. It is, okay, it's actually not showing up too true right now. It is this purple that breaks into this pink. And let me see. Okay, let me turn, oh, there we go. That might be better. When I photograph it, it'll be much more true. It's similar to my magenta, but it's that breaking that makes it really, really different. And it's much brighter than my other magenta. I have a few dyes that do that, and I love the breaking, that element. Breaking is basically when a dye is made up of more than one colors. It's not a pure color. And then in the dyeing process, sometimes those component colors show up singly. So it's still a semi-solid because technically it's that same one color of dye, but its component colors are showing up. And that's how this is. So electric bubblegum. In person, you can definitely see that bubblegum pink, that real electric bubblegum pink. And then the purple is almost like a haze over it. I'll be really interested to play with this and see how it dyes up. If I use a stronger dye solution, if more of the purple will come through or if it'll still break into the pink and just be more variegated. I don't know. It's going to be fun to play with this one. It's definitely a fluorescent-y color though, so, you know, be ready for that. And I should also mention the really vivid fluorescent colors that I dye, like that fuchsia color, the magenta, and this one. They will have residual color. You will probably see that when you first knit whatever you knit and you soak it. I rinse really, really well until the water is as clear as I can get it, but I just know that this is an aspect of these types of dye colors, no matter how much citric acid I use, how much it's heat set. The pans themselves, like they're, you know, the water in them is clear whenever they're done. Rinsing though, there is residual dye, so just be aware of that. It'll go away after a few times, but just like you might not want to pair it with white yarn if you're doing color work, is all I'm saying. Okay, so that's the second one. The light in here is terrible. Oh my gosh. Like I'm having trouble seeing these. Okay, this is raspberry pink. This is a really fun color. Not at all correct in, oh my gosh. Here, there, that's better. Okay, raspberry pink. It's showing up a little bit more red on the screen, but it's definitely like red raspberries that have been smashed and put in a beverage or something. It's that kind of red raspberry. So it's raspberry pink. This one is Shiraz red. This is one, it definitely has a purple. It's more of a purple than a red, but it's technically a red. I may just call it Shiraz, honestly, and not denote red or purple, because I think that'll be confusing. But this is definitely one that dyed up very differently on Traveler than it did on Bounce. And that is not unusual. Different bases do show up differently. It's just interesting because both of these are 80-20 superwash merino and nylon. Not bamboo, nylon. But the twist on Traveler is much different than the twist on Bounce. And that is what accounts for the way the dye takes. So anyway, so that is Shiraz. This one, this is the one I showed you before that I'm going to use in Emma's Afghan. This is Vivid Violet. And again, it's a little darker on Traveler than it is on Bounce. But it is a much brighter violet than my other violet. My other violet is one of those ones that breaks into a blue. This one does not. This will be that pure violet color the whole way through. Okay. Avocado green. I've got so many green dyes, but I never get tired of them, and I really love this one. It's pretty. So that's avocado green. This one I am calling Red Hot Chili Pepper. For obvious reasons. It's sort of an orangey red. It's got a hint of orange in it. So it's definitely that chili peppery kind of red that's got the orange undertone. This one, out of all 8 of them, this is the one that dyed up way differently than what I was expecting based on what the sample colors looked like from my supplier. This is, I'm calling it rosewood. It is, at first glance, it's a brown, but it's definitely got a pink undertone. It's pretty. I was expecting it to dye up much more red, a reddish brown, than it turned out. But it's still very pretty. And again, I'll call it rosewood because I think that's the most apt colorway name for it. But yeah, So that's it. 8 new semi-solid colors that will eventually find their way into self-striping yarns. I'm very excited about them. And you know me, I love knitting with semi-solids. I talk about that a lot. And I knit with semi-solids a lot. So this makes me happy, just seeing all these. It's like new crayons, I'm telling you. Okay. Other stuff that will be in the shop. I did some flurry kits. Flurry is my colorwork cowl kit, which you've seen before. Flurry also starts with an F. So if you are looking for a project to do for the June installment of the alphabet cowl, the flurry cowl kit will earn you a point because flurry starts with an F. The yarn is Fiber Nymph Dye Works, so that will earn you a point. This particular colorway will not earn you a point because it's grape juice and lime. Neither of those start with A through F, but at least you would get 2 points using that. This one, you would get 1 extra point because you've got earthenware red and tree frog green. This one, no colorway points, magenta and silver, but I love the combination. Oh my goodness. And lastly, you would get 1 point for color on this one because it's dark brown and peacock. So there you go. So there will be 2 of each of those kits up, and that comes with the coupon code for the pattern, so you can get it on Ravelry. Just download it using the coupon code. At no additional cost. Okay, what else? I'm going to have... Oh, okay. I've done the mini skein grab bags before with the semi-solid colors. This week, there are going to be self-striping mini grab bags. Yeah. Isn't that fun? I'm calling them a grab bag, even though all 4 of them have the exact same colors in them. But here's what they are. 3 of them will be on Bounce, and 2 of them will be on Bedazzled. So the 3 on Bounce are Manic Camo, Carrick's Treasure, and an Enclave of Yellows. And then the 2 on Bedazzled are Leprechaun Socks and American Legend. So those will be the 5 that will be in those grab bags if you get one of those. And again, there will be 4. These are 20-gram minis, so that's approximately 80 yards for Bounce and over 80 yards for Bedazzled. I can't remember exactly what it is, but anyway, you're getting at least 240 yards, right? No. Oh my gosh, Lisa. No, you're getting at least 400 yards. Yes. So it's like getting a full skein of yarn. All right, so there will be 4 of those. I told you that I was going to buy a new bamboo blend base, and I did. It's a BFL bamboo blend. My old Superwash Merino bamboo blend I had called Serenity. That's the one that I just did my canopy shawl out of. This is a Superwash BFL bamboo blend. And honestly, I couldn't come up with a better name, so I'm calling it Serenity 2. I haven't yet decided if that'll be TOO or TWO. Either way, it works. But it is a bamboo blend, and I love how it turns out. Now, I will tell you, the BFL is not nearly as soft as the Merino. That's for sure. But it's still a very soft base. It's very nice to the touch. And the bamboo, I just love bamboo blends because they make everything soft and muted and just gorgeous. I did 2 different colorways just because I was trying out the base basically. So there will be 3 skeins of Ocean View and 3 skeins of, I'm going to say it wrong, Melissa will laugh at me, Etsy Vermeil. This was the colorway that I dyed up especially for the knit along I did with Melissa from Meltran Designs a couple years ago when we did the Something for Me, and that's what Etsy Vermeil stands for. That's when we did that knit along with her pattern, her Dear Easter which I'm probably saying that wrong too, shawl pattern. I haven't dyed this colorway up too frequently since then. I do it occasionally for shows just because I do have my shawl that I use as a sample. So anyway, that is this color, and it's just really pretty muted purple and blue and gray. So there will be 3 of each of those in the shop. Okay, now on to the self-striping. I told you last update that I was putting these 2 skeins of Spring Skies in the shop, and then I realized last minute I couldn't put them in the shop because the mini skein sets that people had pre-ordered hadn't shipped yet, so I couldn't put these in the shop. They ended up shipping the same day, but I figured I'd just hold these back and I'll put them in the shop this time. So this is Spring Skies, and they're both on bounce. So this was the self-striping colorway from the May Minis of the Month sets. I have 1 skein of Serial Killer on Bedazzled that has been sitting in my inventory for weeks now, and I'm like, why is that still there? This usually sells really fast. The only thing I can think of, because it is left over from my show back in April, is I probably just never listed it. Sometimes that happens, because especially if I have things on multiple bases, I miss something. So I think that's why it's been sitting around. At any rate, it will be in the shop this week. So this is the darker version of Fruit Loops. So it's called Serial Killer. 1 skein of that. All right, what's next? All right, I have Bahamian. I also have hair in my mouth. This is Bahamian on the Bedazzled base. There will be 2 skeins of that. There were supposed to be 2 skeins of it on bounce as well, and there are. However, we had some production issues in the rescanning process, so these are each 2 short skeins of Bahamian. They're about 345 yards each. They'll be discounted, obviously, and they each also have, I believe, 2 knots in them. There was no yardage lost within the skein there. All the yardage that was lost was at the very end. So the place where those 2 knots are inside the skein, the striping pattern, the sequence is not screwed up in any way. It's just there's a knot. But yeah, the yardage all came off of one end that just got way too fouled up that we just couldn't do anything with it. So that's why they're short skeins, but they'll be in the shop discounted. So if you don't mind a couple knots and you don't need a full skein, there you go. I will have 2 skeins of Sunburned Zebra. I was trying to go back and do some of my fun colorways that I haven't done in a really long time, and I haven't dyed this one up in quite a while. So there will be 2 skeins of that on bounce in the shop. Then there will be 2 skeins of highlighters on bounce in the shop. And then there will be Soft Kitty. There will be a lot of Soft Kitty, actually. There will be 4 Soft Kitties on bounce. There will be 2 on Bedazzled and 2 on Traveler. So this is one of the bounce ones, but there will be also Traveler and Bedazzled. So hopefully if you're one of the people who's still trying to get Soft Kitty, this might be your week, because there will be 8 skeins total. So that's pretty awesome. There will also be, and this is not one of them, I'm just showing you this because it's the only one I have handy right now, Advanced to Go. This is the 8 striping Monopoly colorway. This is a short skein of it that I just have back in my stash, but the other ones are not reskeined to show you. There will be 2 of these on bounce, 2 on Bedazzled, and 2 on Traveler in the shop. I may choose to put up some pre-orders for additional skeins. I haven't decided yet, so you can be on the lookout for those. They might be there, they might not. And if they are, they will be at the top of the page. I did that last update. At the last minute, I decided to put pre-orders up for the second pie colorway, the second helping of pie. I had it in the shop, but I also put up some additional ones as pre-orders without warning. And that I reserve the right to do that if I can do that. So if you were one of the lucky folks who got one of those, congratulations. And if not, I'm sorry. But I didn't announce it anywhere, so it's not like it was announced one place and not another. It went up, spur of the moment. So anyway, there will be 6 skeins total of this, plus possibly 4 more in pre-order. We'll see. The other thing that I have for you is more self-striping, but they're sort of new colorways, but not. I create colorways in one of 2 ways. I either do self-striping, and then I may later on do a variegated version of it, or I create a variegated colorway And oftentimes I don't go the other direction. Like I don't turn that into a self-striping. But sometimes I do. Sometimes I really enjoy that process of deconstructing the variegated colorway and turning it into a self-striping to see how it works out. Now, sometimes I've done that and it hasn't been all that exciting. It's been, you know, it was better as a variegated in my estimation. Some people like them, and that's fine. Everybody has different tastes. It's just, you know, sometimes they don't work out as well as I hope. Sometimes, however, they turn out really, really well. And the two that I did this way this week turned out really, really well. One of them is my Amy colorway, and I do happen to have a skein of the variegated just sitting around. It was in my stash. I haven't used it, obviously, but this is on Sunshine. So this is what Amy looks like. This was my Amy Winehouse inspired colorway. So this is what you see in the variegated version. This is what you see in the self-striping version. Now, this is on Traveler. I also have it on Bounce. They're both pretty vivid. Self-striping always turns out to be more vivid than a variegated version. I absolutely love how this turned out. So this is a 4-stripe colorway with the cherry pink. There's a it's mulberry. It's kind of a mulberry kind of color in there. Those will be 2 wide stripes, and then in between those will be a golden brown. Let's see, where can I find the golden brown? Here's the golden brown, like right here, and a gray. So 2 wide stripes, 2 narrow stripes. I'll have a mock-up of it in the listing so you can see the striping pattern. But this is Amy in striping version, and I absolutely love it. It turned out so well. The other one I did, I don't have a variegated version to show you, but I've dyed it for a really long time. It's my Primordial Sea colorway. I did it as a self-striping. This is a variation though. I did it a little differently than the colors in the variegated. The variegated version has 4 colors, 2 blues and 2 greens. This is actually a 5-stripe. It's got the 2 blues and the 2 greens, but I also added a stripe of gray in there. These are wee stripes. These are like the Fruit Loop size stripes. So they're smaller striping. But I really, really like how it turned out too. And again, you'll see a graphic mock-up representation of it in the listing. So anyway, of Amy, there are 2 on Traveler and 2 on Bounce. For Primordial Sea, I have 4, but they're all on Bounce. So. Okay, I think that is everything for the shop update this week. I will be photographing all of these and putting them up in preview mode over the next couple of days, so you can be watching the shop for that. And I think that's everything. I'm sorry for the length of this. If you've watched this whole thing, thank you and congratulations. If not, I totally understand. But again, the shop update will be on Monday, the 8th of June at 3 p.m. And if you have questions or anything about anything else I said in the podcast, please feel free to PM me or email me or write it in the episode thread on Ravelry, which is where I will put show notes, and I will answer you. So anyway, that's everything. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you later. Bye.